And as she was so beautiful, the huntsman had pity on her and said, "Run away, then, you poor child. The wild beasts will soon have devoured you." He thought, and yet it seemed as if a stone had been rolled from his heart, since it was no longer needful for him to kill her. And a young boar just then came running by, the stabbed it, and cut out its heart and took it to the queen as proof that the child was dead. The cook had to sew this, and the wicked queen ate it, and thought she had eaten the heart of Snow White. But now the poor child was all alone in the great forest, and so terrified that she looked at every leaf of every tree and did not know what to do. Then she began to run, and ran over sharp stones at thorns, and the wild beasts ran past her, but did her no harm. She ran as long as her feet would go until it was almost evening. Then she saw a little cottage, and went into it to rest herself. Everything in the cottage was small, but neater and cleaner than can be told. There was a table, on which was a white cover, and 7 little plates, and on each plate a little spoon. Moreover, there were 7 little knives and forks, and 7 little mugs. Against the wall stood 7 little beds, side by side, and covered with the snow-white counterpanes. Little Snow White was so hungry and thirsty that she ate some vegetables and bread from each plate, and drank a drop of wine out of each mug, for she did not wish to take all from one only. Then, as she was so tired, she laid herself down on one of the little beds, but none of them suited her. One was too long, another too short, but at last she found that the 7th one was right, and so she remained in it, said a prayer, and went to sleep. When it was quite dark, 2 owners of the cottage came back. They were 7 dwarfs, who dug and delved in the mountains for war. They lit their 7 candles, and as it was now light within the cottage, they saw that someone had been there, for everything was not in the same order in which they had left it. The first said, "Who has been sitting on my chair?" The second, "Who has been eating off my plate?" The third, "Who has been taking some of my bread?" The fourth, "Who has been eating my vegetables?" The fifth, "Who has been using my fork?" The sixth, "Who has been cutting with my knife?" The seventh, "Who has been drinking out my mug?" Then the first looked round and saw there was a little hole in his bed, and he said, "Who has been getting into my bed?" The others came up, and each called out, "Somebody has been lying in my bed too." But the 7th, when he looked in his bed, saw little Snow White, who was lying asleep therein. And he called the others, who came running up, and they cried out with astonishment, and brought their 7 little candles, and let the light fall on the little Snow White. "Oh heavens! Oh heavens!" cried they, "what a lovely child!" And they were so glad that they did not wake her up, but let her sleep on the bed. And the 7th dwarf slept with his companions, 1 hour with each, and so got through the night.